Hello, Anthony.
Hello, Claudine.
We have an update on passport revocation.
Yes.
There is a new IRS notice. It is the CP-508C. Let me give you a quick timeline. December 2015, a law is passed saying the IRS can revoke or deny your passport if you have seriously delinquent tax debt. The IRS then created a page with an outline of the law stating it will be implemented in early 2017. We had clients start receiving notices of unpaid taxes, and it had a little blurb on there about the passport revocation law. The next thing that happened was last week. They changed the wording on the IRS page from early 2017 for implementation to 2017. Seeing as it's now June, they had to take out that word early. But this is the biggest thing we've seen so far. There is a new IRS notice, CP-508C. And it is basically the IRS has identified your tax debt as seriously delinquent, and they have provided that information to the State Department. So it is official. And we believe people are now receiving these notices.
That's right. Yeah, the notices that the website looked like it was updated in April. Not really a lot of information from the IRS. We just happened to, do a lot of research, and so we did see this. They haven't issued a press release on the page, which is interesting. You would think that they would say, hey, by the way, here is a copy of the notice that you would receive.
Because this is a big deal.
This is a really big deal. This is what we've been waiting for to see. I wanted to know what the notice was going to look like. So this is an absolutely critical, essential notice that the IRS isn't exactly, people are just learning about it when they get it. There's no information, there is information on irs.gov, but not, you would have to know before. Right. You would have to know the name of the form.
So let's talk about what happens if you have received a CP-508C. The State Department generally will not renew your passport or issue a new passport to you after receiving this certification from the IRS, and they may remove or place limitations on your current passport. So what do you do? How does the process work? People are calling us and saying, will I actually be stopped in the airport? It doesn't seem like that right now.
It doesn't seem that, but we do get reports. A lot of people send us emails and comments, and if you have any comments about what's going on with your travels, please let us know. This is how we find out a lot of great information, and we're able to share what's going on, that we have people who have claimed they've been stomped about taxes, which, I'm saying, well, no, you can't be, but they're saying, oh, no, I was. So it's interesting what's going on, and you shouldn't be stopped in the airport with just a CP-508C, because you have this is a notice that they're going to do it. They haven't certified it yet, but you're in danger of it happening.
Right. And they're saying the State Department, your passport is safe for travel until the State Department notifies you that it's taking action to revoke or limit your passport. So let's say you are about to go on vacation, you know you owe money, but you haven't received a notice yet. Technically, you should be okay.
Right.
As long as your address is also updated with the IRS.
Yeah, so this is sort of the whole issue with IRS administration. There's nothing as sort of expansive as the tax code. And typically, you learn in law school, in order to do something negative against someone, you have to provide them with procedural due process. That means they have to have an actual notice, or you did a really good job of trying to notify the person. Well, that goes out the door with the IRS. Because why? Because it'd be impossible to actually have a sheriff serve papers on someone and say, hey, did you actually know this? So, but here it is. You have this incredible property right of a passport. And this is just, all it is this notice that says, oh, hey, we sent you that notice. The fact is you didn't get this, doesn't matter. That's the way it is with all IRS notices. They send you a certified mail, you don't live there, you never opened it, you never saw it, someone took it from you, doesn't matter. It's operative. And that's kind of the scary thing. When they do something so drastic as taking a passport simply by a piece of paper that you might have never seen.
So let's talk about what is seriously delinquent tax debt. I hate that term.
Yeah.
It's an unpaid, legally enforceable federal tax debt totaling more than $50,000, including penalties and interest, for which notice of federal tax lien has been filed, and all administrative remedies under IRS Code Section 6320 have lapsed or been exhausted, or a levy has been issued. So that's the official definition.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, big question. How do I get this certification reversed? This is what is on everybody's mind.
Exactly right.
Okay,
yeah.
So there's a few different ways you can get this reversed. The tax debt is fully satisfied or becomes legally unenforceable. Would that mean the collection expiration date
Right.
goes up?
If the collection expiration date goes away, then it's no longer enforceable. Now the issue is, for a lot of people who have passports, they're not living in the U.S. They're expats living around the world. Not when you move outside the U.S., that clock doesn't run.
Okay.
So that debt sticks around forever. So, and we've seen this before. We have had people call us, and they were coded properly in the system as expats. And there was a woman who owed taxes from 1996, and I believe it was $14,000. And we calculated that $14,000 was actually over $50,000 now because it includes penalties and interest. So you could actually have a very small original tax due. You moved out of the country. Maybe it was a tax that you had while you were in college. Mm-hmm. Your address in college was what? You can't even remember the address. You moved out of the country. The IRS sent you notices years ago. You haven't updated. You haven't filed because you didn't know your worldwide income is taxable. They sent you this notice to an address you don't have. You think your passport is 100% valid, and then you find out, wait, it's not?
It's not.
For what? You owe taxes?
Another way to get the certification reversed, the tax debt is no longer seriously delinquent. We'll talk about ways to make that happen in just a moment. The certification is erroneous. Also talk about how to contact the IRS for that in just a moment. But I think what's important to note here is they won't reverse it if you simply pay your tax debt under $50,000. Right. So you can't just give them a check for $10 and go, well, it's $49,990.
Right.
Not
Or even if
work.
you get it down to, even if you pay a significant amount, and there's still something left, and just like, look, I've exhausted. All I have is this. Nope, that doesn't count. You could have $1 you owe, and they would still say, no, well, we're still going to hang on to your passport here.
So let's talk about ways that are ways you can get rid of your tax debt. What if I can't afford to pay off my tax debt? You can enter into an installment agreement that allows you to pay the debt over time. It's a monthly payment.
Right, and it also could be the partial payment installment agreement counts too, and that's a nominal amount.
You submit an offer in compromise. Important, the IRS must accept that offer in compromise.
But while your offer in compromise is pending, your passport will still remain open. They won't take it.
Right. You enter into a settlement agreement with the Justice Department to satisfy the debt.
And that's for criminal charges.
Oh, okay,
yes,
gotcha.
Yeah.
If you request innocent spouse relief, collection is suspended. And you can also make a timely request for collection due process hearing in connection with a levy to collect the debt.
And the issue with that is for a lot of people, they've missed their collection due process hearing rights because you have 30 days from the date of that notice in order to do that. But again, this is situations where you haven't gotten your mail or you haven't opened it, and it's that 30-day window. Once it's gone, now this is what's interesting because we pay attention to some very there's a couple words that are missing that concern me greatly. One of them is if you're in currently non-collectible status where you're not paying anything back to the IRS because you're in a hardship status, they can still take your passport.
Yes.
We were waiting for some guidance. Like they can't possibly leave that out. It's left out, and that concerns us. And the other issue is that on the collection due process hearing, well, there's another type of hearing that's called an equivalency hearing that's allowed a year after that final notice of intent to levy, but it doesn't say that. So can we try that? Is that allowed? What if we are in appeals, but it's not just on a collection due process, it's on something else, or we're on a cap appeal, which is a different type of appeal with a higher standard, but sometimes it does prevail.
All right, some more common questions. What if I'm required by my job to travel? Or what if I have an emergency situation where I have to travel overseas? The IRS has stated, if you need your passport for work, you do not get any preferential treatment. You have to take the same steps as everybody else. They have said they will consider emergency and humanitarian issues on a case-by-case basis, but they haven't outlined any specific guidelines on that, so we don't know how that process will work. If I believe the certification was made in error or I don't agree with the tax debt, who do I contact? You should call the number listed on the top right corner of your notice. You can also send proof of payment if you've already paid to the address. Important question, how long will it take to get my U.S. passport after the certification is reversed? So you either prove that they are incorrect or you pay off your tax debt. They have 30 days for reversal. There's also a National Passport Information Center. We'll put their number in the notes below that you can contact for more information about the status of your passport. If I recently filed my tax return for the current year and expect a refund to pay my liability in full, will this resolve my passport issue? Yes, it will.
Eventually. When that's applied.
Yep.
Yep.
And then the last question, and this is important. I'm a U.S. citizen living overseas, and I have plans to return to the U.S. Will I be able to return? So you live, say, in Italy. You want to come back and see your kids, but you have a seriously delinquent tax debt. Can you get back to the U.S.?
It looks like you can. You just might be stuck here.
It's a one-way ticket, baby.
Yeah, it's a one-way ticket. And the issue that comes up for a lot of people is they're dual citizens.
Mm-hmm.
And you're required, if you have a dual passport, you're required to use your U.S. passport.
Upon return.
Right, upon return. Some people use a different passport. I'm told they have a database of dual citizens. I don't know exactly if that's true or not. But
I reached out
Yeah?
to the State Department. I reached out to the Department of Treasury. I reached out to Immigration, and I got the same response from all of them.
check the website.
Check the website.
Yeah.
Legally, you are supposed to use your U.S. passport upon return. And I asked what would happen if they did not, and they said legally there are no ramifications.
Okay.
So legally you're supposed to, but they don't have.
So you kind of get away with it.
You could.
Yeah.
So yes.
But we're not advising. that,
Oh,
of
no,
course.
definitely not.
We don't advise that.
No.
You know, I would say, Claudine, this sounds like just such a huge nightmare. Okay, because you have a combination of just sort of everything that's terrible. That you have a very essential property right, a very essential personal right. You have the IRS and their massive administration that has to integrate with a large, rather bureaucracy at the State Department too. You're going to have people who are going to be freaking out. Like, this is going to cause so much distress. And I think that's its intent, because we want your taxes and we don't care.
You got to pay your fair share.
You got to pay your fair share. So that this is going to cause so much panic. It's going to be miserable for a lot of people. It's going to be miserable for the IRS. I mean, would you want to be handling calls like this, people freaking out, someone telling you, crying, and it sounds like they sound just like you if it was your mom who was sick? Do you want to be at the State Department handling these things? And I mean, like you don't have enough work to do. And this is really, you know, the tragedy of Congress being able to pass laws that don't impact them. They're always okay. You know, they always make it out okay. And somebody has this brainiac idea somewhere up there in Congress to say, we can make all this, here's from free money that we can get for the U.S. Treasury. All we have to do is take people's passports away. And the other danger of this is that I keep seeing these things from IRS News on Twitter where they're saying scammers the IRS will never take your driver's license or revoke your citizenship. Don't fall for these stupid scams.
But we can take your passport.
Yeah, and it's like, but we can take your passport. So
Your driver's license? The dickens. We would never do that.
We would never do it. I mean, come on. Who do you think we are? Oh, but your passport. Yeah, we're going to want
We're
that.
gonna take the
Yeah, so it's really insane. A lot of things. So I would just say if you have any, you know, if you have a passport, this is happening. It is truly happening. The IRS is too big to control itself. They have implemented. They're required to implement it. I would get on top of this right away, so it's not you who's looking at a complete panic, stranded in an airport somewhere.
Right. So if you need assistance, don't hesitate to contact us. It is 888-727-8796 or info@irsmedic.com. You can like and comment below. Make sure you subscribe to our channel so you get updates about passport revocation and other tax information. And we want to thank you so much for watching.